Dave Rubin and Dr. Drew were talking about how Gavin Newsom bragged about removing water supplies. Number 50.
The most significant water restoration project, bringing back salmon and steelhead into this basin.
Here's what we used to see when you looked up in the foothills, was crisscrossed fire breaks and fuel breaks. They were all over the hills. And I spoke to a fire chief yesterday who used to work on those teams in the 70s and 80s. And they stopped doing the fire breaks and brush management really initially because of migratory patterns of a mouse, and then because they started convincing themselves that there were other ecological effects of what they were doing, so therefore they could no longer do the routine management, literally, that we did 50 years ago. 50 years ago. So if you want to take aim at climate change, let's say it is climate change. Let's say it is. What are you going to do about it? What's your plan? Let's say it is. Everything you're doing is being undone by fires. What's your plan? And anything but govern is what they're doing.
I first want to throw to this video of Rick Caruso. And for those of you that don't know Rick Caruso is basically a legendary commercial real estate developer who built all of the huge malls of the Pacific Palisades, which miraculously that mall happens to be still standing. He built the Grove, which is a very famous mall there, the mall in in Glendale, thank you. And here he is, and he ran for mayor, so he could be the mayor right now, except he lost. He lost to Karen Bass. Here he is calling into Fox, talking about, well, you'll see some of the inefficiencies, let's say.
My heart goes out, obviously, to the people with their homes, and I'm watching the small businesses around us go up in flames. This is people's livelihoods, so it's devastating. But what is most concerning to me is our first responders and our firefighters who are trying to battle this. There's no water in the Palisades. There's no water coming out of the fire hydrants. This is an absolute mismanagement by the city.
So no water coming out of the fire hydrants. And Drew, before I let you chime in, let me just throw to a reporter asking Gavin Newsom about exactly that yesterday.
What is the situation with the water? Obviously, in Palisades, ran out last night in the hydrants. I was talking to the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system that's not dissimilar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system. I mean, those hydrants are typical for 2 or 3 fires, maybe 1 fire. You have something at this scale, but again, that's going to be determined by the local.
Well, that gets to your exact point, that so whether we want to lay all the blame, and obviously there's acts of God, so I'm not sitting here saying Gavin Newsom did all of this, obviously, but whether you want to blame the governmental failures on Gavin Newsom, or you're right, it's a one-party state, so if you want to blame it on the legislature, that's fine. But to that exact point that Donald Trump was making about what you're allowed to, you made the point previously about what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do because of these ridiculous regulations. Here is Newsom talking about the largest dam removal in U.S. history, and wait till you hear why they did it.
Largest dam removal project in U.S. history, and one of the most significant, if not the most significant, water restoration project, bringing back salmon and steelhead into this basin. This project could not have happened without extraordinary partnerships with tribal nations and, of course, our partners in the North and Oregon. We just finished a celebration with the Secretary of the Interior and our tribal council and tribal leaders, and I couldn't be more proud as a Californian, and I couldn't be more proud as a father, because my kids and their great-great-grandkids will have the opportunity to see something that, well, has been here since time immemorial, and it's about damn time we got this done.
About damn time.
It's about damn time. I'll give him that line. Okay, fine. But this is the point. Do you think California would like to have some dams right now that would keep the water a little bit higher? We're all for salmon swimming upstream, and it's cool watching them jump out of the water and have the bears grab them. But even that right there, it's to your point exactly. And we're talking with the tribal nations and blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe we needed that water.
Anything but the good of the people of this state. Look, Bernie Sanders tweeted this morning something about climate change. And this is all climate change. It's not a hoax, blah, blah. Okay, let's assume it is climate change. Just make that assumption.
Grant them that.
And then something to do with it. Then what are you going to do about it? Your biggest concern should then be the CO2 from forest fires. That should be your number one concern, if indeed climate change. But they only like doing what sounds and feels good, not what is logically good, what is common sense, and what is for the good of the people and is the basic functions of something we call government.
I think you're making a great point that I'm going to reiterate on the show over and over again. Even if, regardless of what anyone thinks about climate change, whether you believe in it or not or anything else, let's grant them that. If you go out there and grant them, okay, fine, it's real. Well, what did you guys do to prevent the thing that's happening right now? You're the governor.
Well, what we've done is to engage in DEI. This is the LA Fire Department Assistant Chief Kirsten Larson, the first Black Lesbian Equity Bureau Chief of the LA Fire Department, number 42.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or, you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Words fail. It gives you a little bit more ease when your house is burning if the person that shows up is a lesbian. And if you can't carry your husband out, he got himself in the wrong place. Play that one more time. 42.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or, you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
He got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire. Mel Gibson was on the Joe Rogan show, number 21.
Yeah, we were just talking about the wildfire situation and how crazy it is that they spent $24 billion last year on the homeless.
Yeah.
And what did they spend on preventing these wildfires?
Zero.
Zip.
And in 2019, I think Newsom said, I'm going to take care of the forests and maintain the forests and do all that kind of stuff. He didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything. And then on top of that, they cut the water off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's all funny. And then I think all our tax dollars probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know, but it's like, it's sad. It's like the place is just on fire.
Well, the whole state is just so poorly managed. It's so it's so frustrating and confusing. And then he gets on TV and pretends like everything's great. Mm-hmm. And California's the best. We have the best state. We have the most amazing economy. I'm like, you're out of your mind, dude. You've ruined this state. Like, personally ruined it.
Well, it's the same team that was up in San Francisco, and they came down to L.A., and they're doing what they did in San Francisco. And
yeah,
San Francisco's kind of like apocalyptic now,
Yeah.
I went there, and it's just like people, homeless. It's a mess.
It's just unbelievable that society can crumble that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It really is unbelievable.
It doesn't take long.
No.
Yeah. I read a book once by Jared Diamond called Collapse.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever read that book?
Yeah.
Crazy, right? It says all the things you need for a civilization to cave in and collapse. And a lot of the things are present. All those earmarks, the precursors of a collapse, they're present in our time. So it's an interesting observation.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll send Gavin Newsom a copy of my book, As Goes California. Not that he would read it. This is another evacuated resident, number 16.
Yeah, Harris, I have to tell you, after seeing that press conference, I am flat out heartbroken and outraged. We are sick and tired in L.A. County of having liberal political leadership play Russian roulette with all of our lives. Look at that. Look at these images. This was preventable, Harris.
And this is a Malibu resident, number 46.
Sure. We also have to ask two different questions right now, which is, what are we going to do about the sharp increases in insurance premiums that are going to happen because of this mass casualty event? That has to be, we have to have a plan for that. Who's going to actually manage the build back of Los Angeles? We actually need a person that has proven expertise in development that can oversee this type of a project, who is an effective leader.